Don't fret, children. Sister Metal is here. What the hell are you doing? I thought this would be suitable for the video. I don't even want to know why you have that costume. I'm having conflicted thoughts right now. Welcome, whores, to the whorehouse. Let's talk about the horror game Faith, The Unholy Trinity, and what makes this game a masterpiece in horror. If you're not aware of Faith, let me introduce you. Not that Faith. That Faith. Faith is a pixel horror game inspired by the era of classic 8-bit gaming and the satanic scare of the 1980s. Through 3 chapters, you play as a young priest armed with his cross. You dive into a hellish nightmare filled with cults, possessions, and exorcisms, unraveling the stories of faith. Now, let's dive into chapter 1. You are returning to the Martin residence on the failed anniversary of an exorcism that you and Father Allred did the year prior. The only survivors of this exorcism is you and Amy, the girl that was possessed. Why are you returning? To finish the job, of course. You're pulled over on the side of the road and you must find the Martin house as you navigate this weird, odd forest. While collecting notes, that shows you more of the background of what happened prior to this exorcism. The forest is randomized each time you traverse into a next section. And sometimes this can be a little bit disorienting, and in a way it kind of feels like the evil forces are kind of messing with you in this forest. And you find out pretty soon that you are not alone in this forest. Never, demon! As you are constantly attacked by this evil demon white creature that crawls on the ground, chases after you. Its garbled voice scratching at your eardrums, and you're barely able to make out what this thing is saying. And I'm pretty sure he's saying some pretty nasty things to you. I think he just called me a bitch. Well, that's just quite rude. Luckily enough though, armed with your cross, you can fend it off. As well, with this cross, you can use it to exorcise items around the map, giving you more notes, which uncovers more of the story in this game. This game's music is eerie, yet uplifting. Almost like you feel a sense of dread, but hey, you're okay with it. We continue our search for the house, wandering around this forest, while being attacked by this crawling creature. Ah! Trust me, you will hear the sound a lot, and it'll make you want to rip your ears off, and it will become your mortal enemy in this game. I'm gonna walk. Oh. Ah! It doesn't help that I also made this audio for my chat to use against me. Oh, and by the way, we also stream here on YouTube and Twitch. Links will be down in the description below. So if you enjoy the videos that we've been putting out, be sure to check out our live streams. Back to the video. Each time you die in this game, you respawn at the last save checkpoint, which is nice because you don't have to do all the major tasks over again. We run into these people that are running through the forest. We only see them for a short second, but we follow them anyways. Probably not a good idea, but luckily, they lead us to a cabin in the woods. Or more of a shack, really. Outside, we find another note telling us more of the story and revealing more of what happened the year prior. We walk into this shack and the music dies. It's silent. As we move forward, we notice that a creature flashes by the window, looking for a way in. What the fuck? You see him outside? I saw him. All right, you scumbag, come and get it. The beast barges through the door, wanting to murder us again. We raise our cross and banish the demon and grab the key. The cross never fails. It is such a subtle thing in this game for when the music cuts out and it's just silence, because you're so used to this music being so loud and kind of like upbeat, but then it gets silence and then you get a little bit nervous in your stomach, not knowing what's about to happen next. Silence can be a great utility to build tension in a game, and Faith uses that really well. We continue to look for the house when that slick Beastie Boy finds us and, well, dismantles our body. I'm gonna walk. Oh. Ah! You son of a bitch. Sometimes this happens so suddenly that it's a pretty good jump scare, which in this game is actually pretty rare. It doesn't rely heavily on jump scares, more of ambience, disturbing visuals and sounds, especially when the characters and when the demons talk. But this demon is like hot acidic diarrhea. I hate it. And he's constant. We run into those people again wandering through the forest, only for a brief second, but we follow them anyways. And leads us to the Martin house. Finally, we are out of these dark woods and into, well, a rundown demon house. I'm not sure which is better, a forest with a killer demon or a house with a killer demon. Really, it might be a toss-up here. We enter the house, the music changes, and then it slowly fades away. George, Mr. Martin led us downstairs, again utilizing that silence. The house is too quiet, and you really almost feel naked in here. Your balls swaying in the cold drafts of the house as you search for Amy. You know she's not the nice girl you once knew. We learn more about the story by finding more notes on this house, how Amy was restrained in the basement by her parents, something happened to Father Allred, and how she fled into the attic, and then it was up to you to try and save her. And we also get a glimpse of the slow possession that happened to Amy over those last couple days. And in this chapter, honestly, I really enjoyed the backstory and how we were playing after the events. It keeps you intrigued throughout the game with its story, and it had me wanting to learn more about it. We find a door locked to the attic, a trail of blood trickling into it. Do we follow the blood? Open the door! I cannot open the door. And we must find a key. And of course, we gotta go into the creepiest part of the house. The goddamn basement. Oh, my favorite place in the whole house is the basement. I hate the fucking basement. I don't care what people say, basements are far more creepier than attics. We find symbols on the ground, I think written in blood, and we find another note describing of how the last exorcism went. And then we get a creepy as hell cutscene as Amy slowly rises up from the bed. The sounds, the animation are all very bone-chilling. I have a bad feeling about this. Oh my god!
He is here.
No shit. They do such a great job in this kind of retro style animation with like the little sounds as the creatures are moving, the out-of-tune notes, making it very unique and also very disturbing. Now we must defend ourselves from the possessed Amy with a little bit of trouble. Do I gotta make it? Oh man, I gotta make it back down to the basement without getting... Oh! What the fuck, you cunts?
More this.
We fend her off, and we hear the door unlock up in the attic.
I heard a door open upstairs.
We should probably go check it, sir. Which means the final showdown. Priest versus small possessed child. When it comes to possessed children or ghost children, I think it's free game to drop kick them in the face. We enter the hallway of the attic, and the crosses start to spin on the wall. That's a cool parlor trick. Did the devil teach you that? And we come face to face with the demon. Hello.
My God, what happened to you? Do you see my face is breaking?
The boss battles in this game are surprisingly challenging, which is nice, with different stages of difficulty, as well as with some pretty intense cutscenes. We use our cross to battle Amy. At one point, her face is gone, revealing a red hole. Let me see that face. Put it back on, I'm so sorry. And it's pretty creepy as hell. We continue the fight, thrusting the Lord inside of her. Lord, take her into your bosom. Till she stomps on us. Ah!
More this.
I honestly blame the cross. It's defective. And after a few more tries, we finally get her. Until a frickin' demonic arm bashes out of her throat. Yes! Stay in her! Oh, fucking holy. I've never seen somebody give birth out of their mouth before. This is very exciting. The first time this animation shocked me, just with how smooth and how abrupt it was. Seeing this arm burst out of her mouth just wiggling around. This game really shines with its cutscenes and its story. And now we must battle her as she floats around this pentagram. We didn't have too much trouble with this battle. I think I didn't see that. Oh my, I saw that coming, yet I didn't move. You.
this.
Come on! What was that? And with the power of metal, we finally defeat her. Cute. Throw it up. You got this. Ugh. She swallows the arm back down her gullet, and with no thought at all, she just jumps right out the window. Honestly, this kind of shook me. It was pretty abrupt. I was not expecting that. Shit. Now they're gonna say I pushed her. I didn't do it. You guys saw it. She jumped. As a professional medical expert, I can say her body broke that demon's fall. We head back down the stairs into the main living room with words painted on the floor. Kill her. And a gun with one bullet. Who wrote those words? Not too sure. Who put the gun there? Not too sure. We do, though, have a choice here. Do we hunt her down and shoot her? Or do we take the more angelic approach here, put down the gun, and try and save her? Well, she put us through hell, so we're gonna take that gun and shove it up her ass. Well, well, well. We meet at the end of your life. Stuff it right up your ass. Bang! Power of Christ compels you. I know. How could I? It came down to this. You have no idea how many times she killed me in that attic. It was sweet payback, and I loved every second of it. We enter our car, and we drive off. Sirens blare behind us as a cop pulls us over for murder. Ending 1 out of 5. Yes, this game has many multiple endings in it, which is great for replayability. And each ending is a little bit more messed up than the last. For the sake of the video though, we just did the one ending. But I highly recommend checking out some of the other endings, because some of them are straight up crazy. Faith Chapter 1 is a very strong start to the trilogy, exploring the past trauma of the priest you're playing and what happened prior with the exorcism and Amy. You come back to make things right, all the while you're being hunted by this white demon in the forest, which makes you ask the question, who or what is this thing? Dr. Freimer, how would you sum up Chapter 1?
Exquisitely haunting. My favorite part is when that demon fists its way out of that girl's mouth. It disturbed me to my very core. And I liked it. I wish to also be fisted in my mouth hole.
Excellent, because each chapter gets a little bit more and more demonic and creepy. Speaking of Chapter 2, Chapter 2 is definitely more of a fever dream. You start off as Father Garcia, who is another priest, reading a letter that was sent by the church, telling you to release Michael Davies from your custody and return him home. Curiosity piques, why does a priest have a small child in his basement? Well, performing an exorcism, of course.
Well, that makes more sense.
We move through the house, revealing photos of Davies, and we slowly learn that that white demon from Chapter 1 that was chasing you in the woods is actually Michael Davies. Piercing red eyes and wide smile. We wander into the basement and we find little Michael Davies restrained on the bed, asking to go home.
How are we doing today, Michael? I want to go home.
Michael, you can go home once you shed that demon out of yourself. This scene is really creepy. Something about the voices, especially the demon voice, once it starts talking to you. Oh, that's so creepy. It just makes your skin crawl. The hairs on the back of your neck stand up. You must try and exorcise this demon out of this child. When the restraints break, and it goes dark. Whoever tied those restraints did a very terrible job. You make your way up the stairs, following the blood trail leading into a hallway. Oh, gross. Where we see Davies, who is now this demonic thing, feasting on the corpse of someone. Eyeball rolling out of his mouth as he grins at you. Like, hey, look at me now, priest. Do you like what you see? Who knew that you can make animation look so disgusting and creepy? Literal chills. He then jumps out the window and then Garcia runs down the hallway after him. These demons, for some reason, just love jumping out windows. It's some sort of fetish, I'm pretty sure. A really solid opening sequence that gets you right into the game and introducing Father Garcia to you, as well as answering that question, what was that demon in Chapter 1? And it brings you into this story once again, where you need to find out more of what's happening and where all this is leading to. It's giving you a little taste, just a little nibble, and you definitely want more. It's 2 a.m. now, and we are our main character, standing in the forest. How did we get here? Not too sure. What are we doing here? Not too sure. We stumble our way through this forest, finding a tree decorated with the corpse of a deer's body. Heads placed on top, limbs askewed on the branches. Well, look at that. That's upsetting. Who? Oh my god. That's not how you decorate a Christmas tree. 'Tis the season to get the hell out of these woods. It is quite haunting.
I have similar ornaments for my tree.
You are quite disturbing at times, Dr. Frightmare. We also learn of an investigation that has been postponed at this cemetery. We're not too sure why, but it doesn't sound good. And of course, the next place for us to go is the cemetery. As the gates open, the music slowly changes to make it this nice little haunted musical treat. There's gotta be one, right? We enter the spirit house, which is a place where you can go if you need some rest. And it's quiet, adding a little bit of tension to it. It's quiet in here. I like it. Sitting in this house are these red men. I think they might be cultists, or the homeless population might just be really bad. Ahead of us is a mirror, our reflection showing us a key. I don't trust this reflection because it's looking a little sus. Then spirits dart away from this mirror, revealing 4 sets of glowing eyes, each one a small boss fight. And each spirit you release in this cemetery, you get a little note learning a little bit more about what they once were in this life. From a child to an aborted fetus. It's all very sad, really. After defeating the bosses, we go back to the spirit house, we walk in, and our reflection is already waiting for us at the mirror. That's a little weird. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the most handsome of them all? I'm bleeding! It shows us our beautiful self, and then it stabs us in the eye with a key. A brutal scene as blood spurts out, starts to trickle on the ground. Our character is now leaking blood. But now we have a key. Though it's jammed to our eye socket, we do have a key. I knew I didn't trust that damn mirror. We have the key, so now we can escape this cemetery. And back into the forest we go, where we kind of feel a little bit safer until this happens. Was that? Now even trees are possessed. All right, game, simmer down a bit. It wasn't a jump scare, but it definitely caught me off guard with the way it moves and the sounds it makes as it moves. A very nice subtle scare. And this is what this game does really well, is the subtle scares. Nothing big and loud like Five Nights at Freddy's or all the 100 games that do this. And I also think the sound design in this game plays a big part to make you feel creeped out and or disturbed. We see those people again from chapter 1 that lead us into a decrepit old church. And I really like that we can tell that this church is old and it's falling apart with this style. We enter the church and it tells us to confess our sins. I have masturbated to myself before. I swear it's not true.
I mean, who hasn't? Let's be honest. No one asked you.
We learned that we weren't the first person here and that there was a group of paranormal investigators investigating this church and playing the Spindly Lady game. And throughout the church, we uncover more of their story, of them capturing paranormal activity on camera and playing that Spindly Lady game, which things didn't really go too well for them. These notes really go into detail, and it's honestly a lot of fun uncovering these notes. It's like a spooky story almost, each page amping up the horror just a little bit more than the last. And then you learn of the demise of these investigators. We find a confessional booth with no one inside. So we go in there, and of course we start to confess our sins to the empty void on the other side.
Pray for me, Father, for I have sinned. What sins have you done to confess?
But someone or something talks back to us. I can only assume it's Satan, and it starts to listen to our confessions.
After to die, I am sorry for these and my past sins. Thou hast said will, here is my pity.
We talk about the girl from chapter 1, I think, and how we couldn't save her, and this demon wants us to bring the child to it for some reason. It's honestly a creepy sequence. Very good. This church might be a little haunted. Just a smidgen. We find a hidden kind of door chamber that leads into the basement, but in order to open it, we must fight the Spindly Lady. And we beat her after a few tries. A few more tries. Okay. I asked if it happened. She's dead, so we walk down the stairs, and this game honestly does not let up. Because we reach a part in this game where it makes you feel paranoid that something is walking behind you in the dark. We find ourselves in a room, and in this room there's a bunch of symbols on the floor. And you gotta find the hidden path to get to the end, until they fade away and the music kicks in. Boom. Almost like the Mario is drowning sound. We reach the starting symbol and we get a flash of these long spider legs reaching out from across the room trying to grab us, but they go away. Something was coming for you in the dark. The true fear here is that if you go too far and you mess up the path, you cannot walk back fast enough to reset it. So you're pretty much screwed when it gets to you. I'm not gonna make it! Don't look, children! Don't say it. Fuck you. Each step could be your last. Some ways seem like the right way, but they're not. And honestly, it's one of my favorite parts in this game. You're not sure what to make of it. You learn very quickly that something is coming for you in the dark. The whole experience plays with that fear of the dark and that something is sneaking behind you. And the music. Don't get me started on the music. Sometimes you're wrong. Oh, it's so close. Look at it. It's right there. Shut up. It's diarrhea inducing. We exit into a room with blood written on the ground. Mother of demons. Pretty ominous. Not sure what that means. And we exit into the forest again, where we find a note in the middle of a circle. And this is where things get a little bit nuts. We read this letter talking about cults and sacrifices. Then it takes a drastic turn as the music and the mood changes in this letter. When you found them getting high in that tomb, you stalked them through the grave and killed them one by one. You ignored their cries for help, their pleas for mercy, calling you out. How you didn't help these crackhead teens and how you chopped off their head and that it was your fault that you killed them. And it gets much darker and much angrier. Cannot kill what cannot be killed. Thou shalt not raise up what thou canst not put down again. Thou couldn't not kill Amy. Thou shalt not destroy my work, for thy are the works of the eternal dragon. And it makes you think, is this note all in your head? Like your character is almost guilt-stricken maybe? You scroll down the page revealing an upside down cross made of sixes. And then you see the lettering, I'm here, John. And then all hell breaks loose. I'm melting. Oh, I got a melting. We find ourselves surrounded by cult leaders. People's heads are on fire. Cult members watching us. People chanting. Very similar to the Burning Man festival, really. And all this is too much for our priest to handle, so his face starts to melt off his skull and his whole body just melts away into a giant puddle of blood, fat, and skin, revealing that we are now a goopy booger demon. I guess. Am I like a mutilated corpse now? What the fuck is this? Like, what the actual hell is going on in this game? I know you're asking the same question. This is like nightmare fuel, and I'm here for every second of it. I love how something so simple like reading a text can bring you into it and make you feel scared. The change of music, the change of tone in the letter, and what was once a newsletter is something else entirely, talking to you, mocking you. It does show more background of your character, but it goes from 0 to 100 to 200 real quick, leading you into this cult, being surrounded, and then having your whole body just melt away. It is such a unique way to establish fear and to kind of elevate horror through text. I really dug this scene. So we can move as this puddle of goo. Yes, very strange. Every time we move, it sounds out of tune, which is odd, right? And we find this bridge with, I think, a husband and wife fixing a truck. We enter underneath it, and then we are reformed as the priest. If this game does one thing right, which it does many things right, it keeps you engulfed in the story of like, what the hell's going on? And you want to keep playing it to figure out what's happening. Why am I back as a priest? Why was I this booger demon goo? Why the hell did I melt? None of it makes sense. We find a tunnel called the Candy Tunnel. It's similar to a van with free candy on the side, which there's no candy in the van. It's just a crackhead trying to snatch up people. Candy Tunnel is referring to the drug addicts and the castaways that end up in this tunnel. Honestly, it's a very lovely place. It should be an Airbnb, really. The tunnel music is very odd and sinister. It fades in with this out-of-tune beat, then shifts into like a low droning sound. And you uncover more of the story in this tunnel as well. How it's a place for runaways and druggies, and how there was a serial killer in this tunnel murdering people. Cops getting messed up in here as well from some sort of raid. And of course, you gotta make your way through this tunnel because why not? We find graffiti on the wall warning us about something, telling us not to move. What the heck does that mean? Is it alluding to something? And in the next room, we find out what it's alluding to.
Don't look at it!
I'm so tempted to move. This thing appears around the corner, covering its face, asking for mother, I think. Its bloody hands hiding its face. As you see it peek an eyeball out at you, you want to run away from this thing. But you remember what the graffiti said, so you don't move. A very quick and creepy scene. Leaves you wondering, what the fuck? And of course, you follow this thing into the next room, the game forcing you to face your fears of this place. We find a flashlight in a dark room, and we must fight off this creature or hell spawn that's trying to attack us.
I don't know what you are, but f off! Get out of here!
This game loves to use the dark and flashlights for its gameplay as well, because there's another scene after this where you have to shine your light and scare away these demons as you try and search this dark room for a key that's for a door. The scene makes you feel isolated and yet afraid, knowing that something is there in the dark with you. It's really crazy how this game with a retro art style can make you feel anxious and scared while just kind of navigating this dark room, trying to find this stupid key. We exit into this room and we find Father Garcia. Why is he here? Not too sure.
Back!
Oh! It's like Garcia? But we join forces with him anyways to fight the final boss. This boss is disguised, I think, as a nun with a messed up white face.
Hello, may I help you?
It's a tough battle as you try and protect Garcia from these like red demons while trying to avoid the evil nun demon.
If you can hide fortress.
How do they amp up the horror in this scene? Well, they turn the lights out on you again, where you have to try and use the flashlight to try and ward off the evil nun. You know you're in a panic as this nun is screaming at you in the dark. You can't really see anything, and she's trying to murder and take your soul. But after some trial and errors, only a few.
You mean 2 hours of death and everybody laughing at you?
Yes, that.
I couldn't say. I looked behind me.
We defeat this nun, and she sheds her skin, revealing her true form. Then we wake up quickly. Turns out chapter 2 was all just one giant nightmare, which makes a lot of sense now, since everything that happened in chapter 2 felt like a nightmare, and how many things didn't really make sense. We find a note from Father Garcia explaining that we need to find these 2 children before the cultists get them and sacrifice them to raise a giant, very bad demon, which leads into chapter 3. Chapter 2 is a whirlwind of horrors, constructing a nightmare that you must walk through and face. And they did such a good job at making you feel like you're actually in a nightmare. Many things seem out of sorts, maybe not making sense, and it's a lot to take in. But it's got stunning visuals, storytelling, making you feel like you're in there with the main character. There are games out there with better graphics that can't even do that. And I think with a game with this kind of art style does that, well then you know you got a pretty special horror game on your hands. A very strong chapter. This one definitely ramped up from chapter 1. Let's get into chapter 3. If Faith the Unholy Trinity is like a sundae, chapter 1 being the base of the ice cream, chapter 2 is like the hot fudge or the caramel drizzle you put on top, well then chapter 3 is like the extra stuff, like the extra fudge and the brownie bits, the little pralines, bringing it all together in this delicious, tasty treat. Chapter 3 throws you back to that first night with you and Father Allred and the exorcism of Amy. We learned a little bit of what happened in chapter 1, but now we get to play through it as it's played out through the majority of chapter 3, because these scenes are flashback. It's a very ominous tone, muffled talking. Follow my instructions with exactness. Everything is black and white except for your characters. And then we meet Amy tied to a chair in the basement. Ugh. And then we wake up, showing that it was just a nightmare. There are a lot of sequences in chapter 3 where it seems like a nightmare and we wake up the next day to start on a new mission. The main mission in this game is to stop the demon Malphus from rising. In order to do so, we gotta save these 2 boys before they are sacrificed. So we check out where Amy worked previously to find out some clues. Not without seeing, of course, if we can actually be run over by traffic in this game. Can I get hit by a car if I stand here? That answers that question. We sneak into the clinic as it's boarded up and being guarded by a cop, trying to find some clues. A door we need to get in is boarded up, so we have to try and find something to pry off those wooden boards. And we find a crowbar. I joke you not, I about ruptured my bowels from this scene. That's got wood on it. Let's try. Ah! I'm being dragged into hell! Ah! A pretty stupid, but well done jump scare. I'm still wiping my butt from this. We get a really interesting visual as we're taken down this hallway on a gurney by this creature. It's hungry to eat us, or cut our face off and stuff a newborn child in it, which apparently is a thing in this game. Kind of messed up. This is another good scene that does a good job of building tension in this part. You're on this gurney in a room where there's a bunch of like dead corpses. You gotta wiggle yourself on this gurney trying to hide from this monster while you're trying to work your way down this hallway and try and figure out how to get out of here. So many dead bodies. I love it. It's terrible. And there are a ton of dead bodies in this place, so you know this creature has been feasting for a little while here. The music is sharp, elevating this scene a little bit more. Faster! It's a horror house filled with pain and gore, and fecal matter on the ground from yours truly. Luckily, we are rescued by this cop who was stationed outside, and we join forces with him to help fight this monster inside this building. Ah! It's a succulent beast. This whole first mission is really good at setting the tone of the game, and honestly, it kind of felt like a Silent Hill game. Or this part anyways. We flash back to the exorcism of Amy as we try and help Father Allred exorcise the demon from this child. We gotta pick up the Bible, read a passage, but each time the book vanishes and we gotta find it again. The demon is not making this easy for us. So it keeps moving on me, I'm sorry. Keeps disappearing. Oh shit, it's got a mind of his own. You demonic bitch, stop moving the Bible on me. Something happens to Father Allred and Amy escapes into the attic. Now it is up to us to wield the cross and to try and go exorcise her and save her. And we wake up from the nightmare again. John, our main character, is definitely a haunted, troubled dude. Or he's had too much cheese before bed. It's a thing apparently. Look it up. We get these letters telling us that Malphus might be summoned at this apartment building. And we also get a letter from Lisa, I believe a friend or something, who lives at this apartment building, telling us that she needs help and she's seeing things around the place. And that her friend Tiffany, we must watch out for because she's not good news. We arrive at the building and already I'm getting pretty bad vibes from this place. Is this whole apartment building damned? And we get in a very suspicious vibe in this place. All the mirrors are broken on every floor. The 7th floor button doesn't work. Or is that on the 9th floor? And graffiti leading to the 7th floor saying there is no 7th floor. It's all very suspicious in my books. This part honestly took me a while because there's 10 floors and I wasn't sure where to start. Word of advice, if you want to know where to go, make sure you read the notes because it does tell you. We need to get into 5A, but we also need a key, which the note said that Tiffany would have, even though she's not to be trusted. So we gotta be extra careful here. We eventually find her place with the key inside, a blood trail leading into the bedroom, and then a creepy image appearing on the TV like something is watching us. Hello. Oh, goodbye. We get into 5A, but Lisa is nowhere to be seen, and a door across from us seems to be sealed by something. We must break in somehow, and to release this seal. We find another key and a note from, I believe, the main cultist, Gary, in this game, which we learn more about through this game. He's honestly a real piece of work. We go back to the top floor, and in order to continue, we must give up our cross in a dumbwaiter and send it to the basement. No, I don't get it. Take my cross. If only I had a spare. Why am I only carrying one cross? You give up what you cherish in order to seek the answers that you need. In reality, it's a way to freak you out even more with what's going to happen next. We hop in the elevator with the happy elevator music. We go to the 4th floor. The happy elevator music then slows down. And then the doors open, and then we see a fast glimpse of some red thing just kind of peeking around and disappearing into the hallway. You know, I think I'm just gonna stay in this elevator probably for the rest of my life. Thank you very much. But we gather our balls, cradle them in our hands, and we walk out into the dark hallways. In this hallway, we find a camera and a lot of blood as well. And this next scene is definitely creepy because we have to use the flash of this camera to navigate the dark hallways. Oh, f you. I don't like this. This is a terrible thing. Working our way down to the basement while trying to avoid this demon that is stalking us, which we did see in chapter 2 in the sewers. I really hate this sequence, but in like a good way. It once again plays with your fears of the dark and only using the flash of this camera every, I think, 3 seconds or so to see where you're going. And you're not sure if something's gonna pop up every time you flash it. Is there gonna be a jump scare? Is something gonna get you? It's something out of a horror movie, and it's so well done and so goddamn creepy. We get our cross back once we make it into the basement, and we find out that we must exercise 2 items in order to break the seal to Sarah's room, but not before fighting that thing that was stalking us in the hallways. Also, if you get to this part, hop in the elevator and continually click the 7th floor button over and over and over again. And let me know what you see. We break the seal and we find Lisa, who is now possessed by a demon.
Let's go, Lisa. I'm not Lisa.
Oh, I gave me shivers. We exorcise her, but then we get possessed by a demon, and well, what happens next? Not my fault. Oh shit.
Oh no, Lisa, I'm so sorry. You never made me do it.
You're a monster! That poor, innocent girl!
I swear it wasn't me. I tried my best to save her, and to be honest, I felt kind of bad for her. I'm so sorry I mangled you. I kind of feel bad, I'm not gonna lie. I'm sure you could save her, and maybe the outcome would be different. Or maybe I'm just a terrible priest. We leave to go back home, and then we have another flashback to Amy. We make our way to the attic. The house is dark, no music, only the sound of thunder as lightning pierces the windows. We find Amy, and then we wake up. Shove that up her hoo-ha, fuck her. So many nightmares and probably so many ruined bed sheets. Word has gotten to us that children at a daycare have been acting a little weird. So that's the next place we go. As we arrive, we spot a lot of cops outside this daycare, so we know that something is happening here. We make our way to the back and we break in. No children around, all very quiet. And a word of advice, do not walk out the front doors of this place. It's this way.
He's got a gun, open fire. Or this.
It was a cross! Now that we've established that this takes place in America, we find a hidden passage beneath the daycare. And beneath this daycare, I believe, is like a literal hell, or where the cultists hang out. This is where the game goes from like, it's already at 100 to like 1,000. Because the things that you see down in this place are just absolutely batshit. We must ascend this place as we progress through different tiers of an oculate. To progress, we must damn ourselves even more. In the first stage, we get injected by, I think, some meth head, and we have quite the fever dream here. Oh, not a heroin. Oh god. Hepatitis. Oh, what the fuck's happening? I feel a little woozy, man. Dinosaurs. A lot of visuals, A lot of upsetting visuals with a flashback to Amy. Get to the basement or do I go outside? Hi, Amy. Then waking up in this hallway where we find a bunch of people just gutted and skinned alive. Blood and limbs and guts are strewn all over this room. One dude crawling on the ground asking for help. It's like, sorry dude, you got yourself in this mess. You could probably get yourself out. Or not. No, you're probably gonna die here. You're being tested, it feels like, as you slowly descend into madness. Next, we must find 2 balls that we gotta sacrifice to this Malphus statue and then get into his belly. From avoiding a mirror monster to playing red light, green light with another monster. Let's play red light. Oh God. This game was amazing as a, all right. Green light, red light. This part took way too long and it was frustrating, but intense at the same time. Okay, I gotta wait. There is a trick to this, a stupid trick, and I'm still mad about it. You know what? Let's just move on. Once you open up the belly, you descend further and further into hell. I'm calling this place hell because that's what it feels like. And honestly, now that I'm in this place, I'm sure Malphus or whatever isn't a bad dude, and maybe we should get out of here, you know? Go back home, enjoy ourselves, and whatever happens, happens. But of course not. We gotta keep going further and further into this place. We follow these tunnels as the darkness is closing in on us, where we find a lantern, and this light keeps us safe. But now we gotta make our way back through these tunnels, and the audio changes from background drone to growls and beeps. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Each one seeming to get closer and closer to you. So we try and find our way back as creatures start to appear behind these gates. Their heads are chopped off and random birds attacking you. These goddamn birds, man, with their feathered wings of death. Did not know that, assassin. Fuck you. That didn't scare me. Fuck off, dude. Oh my God. I hate birds. This is birdemic, man. We find a door that's closed behind a seal and 3 pathways jutting off into opposite directions. And in order to break these seals, we gotta follow these pathways through another really dark forest, while also trying to avoid these headless creatures who have the worst sound imaginable. Oh! Run fast! Oh! Demons! Everywhere! This is hell! I've ascended into darkness. I'm not sure how they made this sound, but it made the hairs on my arms stand up. It's like a mountain goat in Trisha Paytas in Heat almost. We eventually break the seal and we enter. A demon voice starts to ask us a riddle as we make our way down these tunnels.
How do you make a portal to hell?
Where we finally meet Gary, who very much looks like a Walmart greeter.
My name is Gary Miller.
Oh, sick glasses, bro. He's the head cultist or whatever, and we get to ask him only 3 questions. With each question asked, his face gets a little bit more deformed. Now, I'm not too sure if there's like a different outcome with different questions asked, but I'd be curious to find out. Gary doesn't like us very much because we've been a thorn in his side through all these chapters. And then we get into our final boss battle of chapter 3.
I think you have stood in my way long enough. Time for you to finally kneel before the power of the unspeakable. You will make a fine sacrifice.
This was a solid fight to cap off chapter 3. Trying to avoid him and not get hit by his pitchfork or his little demon ghouls. And if we do, we drop across and we gotta crawl for it as he charges towards us. And if he gets us, well then he cuts off our face and a giant demon starts to be birthed from our face hole. It's kind of messed up, but the visuals are pretty cool. We defeat him after a few tries. Only a few tries. No. But I don't like this motherfucker. I'm not gonna make it! No! Don't tell me start from the beginning. And then he charges at us. But Father Garcia shows up with a shotgun in hand and shoots him right in the face. Go ahead! Boom! What? Fuck Yes! Gary flees and we follow him into another room where we find another doorway where we have to seal it once and for all. And we do. Shazam bamboozled! The evil is finally defeated. Well, for now anyways. And we find out that Garcia has been battling these demons for quite a while and he needs more priest warriors like us. But our character is pretty reluctant to help him, but Garcia doesn't give a shit because he forces us into the car at gunpoint and tells us we're gonna do it anyways. Alright, sure.
That was a story twist. Get easy, you're evil.
And then we drive off, the game being left open for more installments of Faith. And the question is, what makes Faith a masterpiece in horror? Faith is such a unique game, and probably one of the best horror trilogies out there, and I'll stand by that. It does a really good job at creating horror through audio, retro style visuals, and immersive storytelling. Games these days with better graphics and AAA titles and teams have a hard time doing that. But this game, with its art style and its small development team, did a fantastic job. It brings you into this world of good versus evil, exorcisms and demons, blood and gore. So many memorable, intense moments in this series. You can tell that the creators of this game cared about this, and honestly, they didn't rush it. And I'm really glad that they left it open for more installments, and I hope we do get more installments of Faith, expanding the stories and more creepy retro style visuals and cutscenes. And those are my thoughts. So Faith, have you played it? What are your thoughts on this trilogy? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and of course, I'll see you in the next spooky video.